Hello all, in this video I'm going to show you how I analyze my games. I have here a raw game, a game without any comments or any analysis from the engines. This is the way I start. I'm going to use Chessbase. This is my go-to tool for analyzing my games. This is the professional, more popular one. I'm not a professional, but as I consider myself very serious with chess, I use this one. This is a paid software, of course. There are alternatives. A good one that I also use is Anquasa. I have some videos here on channel about it. It's a fair and very good alternative, free alternative to Chessbase. You can also use Live Chess Studies, although I don't enjoy that much. And if you search, you can find several tools for analyzing your games. Okay, let's go for the game. This is a raw game. This is very fresh in my memory because I finished yesterday. It's a correspondence game, a rated correspondence game I played on lychess.org. This is the equivalent to daily games on chess.com. So the difference is this time format is longer. You can take more than 1 day per move. This was a 1 day per move game. Doesn't mean you need to wait 1 day to the move, but it means that you can take as long as 1 day to play your move, and the same goes for your opponent. It's very fresh in my memory. It was a strong game against a 2600 plus player, which was very nice for me. And so the first thing I like to do in this kind of analysis is to note down the moments where I needed to think more, where I had more doubts, and I want to understand better. So let's go for it. He played knight f3. So this is the Reti opening, and not one of the most comfortable for me. And because I don't play that much nowadays, I do more videos and I am more a YouTuber than a player, unfortunately. Or I don't know if it's bad or not, but it's what it is at the moment. Uh, I was a bit okay. I don't have a nice setup against this one. I don't like to play the King's Indian defense that much against a starting one and knight f3. I prefer to go because normally they can play the English, and I like to play e5 against the English. And so, but okay, this was a moment where I am in doubts between going with the move that I did in the game. It was going for the King's Indian defense setup, but I am experimenting here and there with d5. I was in doubt, but okay. This time I went with knight f6, so this went down into the fianchetto variation. Here it took, which is not the move that I am more used. So I am clicking on the right mouse just to insert a diagram. This is my way, the diagrams, to go directly later for these critical moments that I want to see better. So the idea is to go through one time just as fast as possible, just noting down moments that I want to check better. Of course, it can happen that I want to see them more along the analysis. Notice that although the game is important, I am doing this live. It means that I'm doing this for the first time. I haven't not scripted, not thinking about okay, what I want to pass on this video. I just have my method, and I'm going to show you. So okay, we went on over here. I went with creating this weakness on d6. So more or less from here, I saw okay, this is a game I'm going to defend a lot. In fact, it was all game on the defense, but it was not bad because I do a lot of videos about calculation. And of course, normally when we are doing them, we are trying to play for a win and so on. And normally, when we are doing calculation, we are not thinking on the defense. And I failed a lot on the opponent resources, the opponent's defensive resource, and so on. And on the other side, I am also not used because I like more to attack. I am more an attacking player. I'm not positional. I have many weaknesses on that area. So, in a way, it was very good to play against such a strong player. and going to have to defend all the game long, and I did. There was a moment more ahead I am going to show you where I think I was lost. I am almost sure I was lost because I was calculating a lot. I was calculating a lot also for him, and this was very good. It was an excellent game from that practice perspective because it helped me on my weakness. But okay, let's go more ahead. Okay, over here, okay, I create this one, but I think I was forced to do it. Now starts the maneuvering game. Queen c7, the bishop brings. Okay, this was a bit too early for me. I was expecting h3, but it went with bishop e3, and so I went with knight g4, and then it retreats. And okay, from here I have also some doubts about how to continue because I decided to just maneuver the other knight. And then I was chased away, and in the end, I don't know if the maneuver from the knight paid off in the end. I think yes. I think this more or less transposed to the theory, but okay, over here it's me to move. I don't know if I could go with bishop h6 or something like that, trying to force some exchanges. Well, I don't know. I will see more ahead. Okay, h3. My knight was throw was forced to go back. Okay, then he went with a pounce attack on the queen's side. Okay, I was able to bring my rook. Okay, then he went to a5, which is starting to threat h6, but I don't want also to play h6 because if I play h6, then I will create a hole on b6. Nevertheless, I decide to exchange heavy pieces over here. So I decided to simplify because I am defending after all. So now I maneuver this knight in a very strange way for the queen's side. Okay, that is what happened. He brings the rook to the weakness square, my weak square of d6, but I think this was more or less a waste of time. I just threw the rook away. Now I play f6 to solidify e5, which also creates weakness. Every time we move a pawn, we also are creating weakness. Okay, but we can't avoid them all. And now he brings the knight, so I start to maneuver the other knight to d8 and to f7. Yes, notice that from here there is a fight about the weakness on the d6 square. I am overprotecting it now. And if you notice, this was something I want to check better because more or less, okay, let's not consider the queens. More or less, white has one light piece, uh, just fixing two of my piece. So it's more or less like white has one extra piece over here. Okay, it has at the moment a weak bishop, but besides, I think I have no space. Okay, this was not intended. I have more space, but of course I have less space, and of course I am on the defense. But okay, not to spend time over here. And he improves its weakest piece. Okay, this is typical on good players. One thing I notice is he is very positional, and maybe it was my luck to draw this one because you probably avoided too much tactical complications. Okay, now I develop my bishop. He started some maneuvers on the king's side, which also was not friendly because, well, he's threatening to go to g5 and destroy my setup on that side for my pawns, which is not something that I like. So I decided first to attack the weakness on the b4 square. Of course, now I was prepared to see the queen to defend, and then I went on with h6, which okay, it starts to become complicated. But I saw, for example, that next moves could be to bring the king and advancing the pawns with the idea of creating some ruptures on the my king side, and so I am facing problems over there, and I still have two pieces connected with my weakness on d6, and my knight at the moment on a6 is not doing that much. So of course I'm not enjoying my position. Okay, but not exactly a moment. Now you can see the king is maneuvering. So I decide to exchange more pieces. Of course, I want to exchange the heavy pieces the more that I can to force the game into more light pieces game. Here I activate my queen, and then he try to force the exchange, which I agree. Okay, let's go with it. Notice that its pieces are in a more active position, more centralized than mine. I am starting to have some problems, not only with the d6 square, but also with the h6 square. Okay, another move not intended. And then, okay, I bring my other knight. Okay, I try to centralize it a bit more, although not enough. Okay, and now it starts to become a problem. Okay, this is another position I want to note here. Okay, because now the game is starting to become really on critical moments. I decide to bring my bishop to e7. Okay, he maneuvers the knight. I don't remember this one that good. Okay, now he's threatening to take with the bishop my knight on b5. That's why I accept to create the hole. Remember this hole that okay, if he wanted, he could go back there. And I was already considering this knight being on c4. I was already considering, okay, let's bring the game to knights better than bishop if possible, because there are too many holes over here. And okay, my position was not improving. He went with the rupture, with the breakthrough with h5. This was more or less expected, so I am forced to take. Then he took with the pawn, which brings many holes for him, so he can go to f5 and so on, and will force me to exchange. Okay, this is very well played from him. I am just on the how can I say, passive seat. He's the one doing all the things. I'm just reacting. Now knight h4, and okay, I bring my knight to protect from the other side. He brings one knight in, he took, and he took with the knight. And then I decide to took with the bishop. And over here, I also want to check what happens if it takes with the bishop, okay, because this is creating complications. If it took the bishop over here, notice that I have many pawns on light squares, and if the bishop prevails, like for example, going here and something like that, okay, I am going to be losing over here. So during the game, I was expecting, okay, what happens if he takes with a bishop my knight at this moment? So I want to check this one. As I tell you, I told you before, I think he was not going for complications, for tactical complications. So you want to win the game just on positional and pressing maneuvers from the positional perspective, and I think it was that allow me to save. Okay, now here I need to remove the knight. I don't want it to exchange and to force that situation where the bishop can go easily attack my b7 pawn. Okay, but of course he can do that. And over here is the critical moment. I thought I was lost over here. He made me a favor in exchanging this piece, this very dangerous piece. Of course, I have lost one pawn, but I was ready for it because I was calculating already a lot. And of course, over here, there are no way for him to win. So this was just going on and on. And over here, I don't think he was expecting my move. I also think taking the pawn was possible, but I decided to advance it. And so we bring the bishop, and now we had some positions, and then we reach this moment, which is the final game. But I want to go over here again because I want to see the alternatives of me playing the pawn advancing, which I was thinking, okay, he goes, of course, I forgot to say. In this moment, he proposed me a draw, and after I calculated this move and another move from behind. Let me say where, when it brings, okay. At this moment, this is another move I want to check, because I was also calculating this one to see if I had some advantage. So the first thing, sorry for taking a bit because the game is a bit longer, is to note down the moves that I want to check. Okay, now let's go for the second part, which is to go through the moves. Okay, knight f3, and as I told you before, I wanted to see my theory over here. And of course, I have several things that I like to do. I want to see, okay, let me see from my last games. So I change here up to reference. And then if you are not going directly there, you just go to the tab home, and then you have here the reference database you can check. And here I choose my games. And so I am interested over here to see, okay, I have played knight f6 42 times, and I have scored negatively because this is from the white perspective. I also have made some 4 tries with d5, although I have a setup thought for d5, so I need to experiment that. So let me just note here some things. Okay, to comment, it's Control A, and I want to note, okay, here. Okay, sorry. Here, oh, what is happening over here? Okay, maybe my, okay, yes, my keyboard has changed to Russian, which is not the ideal one. So let's go now here. Okay. This is not perfect anymore. Okay, why I am playing, why I am doing this? Okay, here add doubts about what setup more or less to choose. Okay, and the other alternative was d5, and so over here more or less I am experimenting with things like this one, more or less like queen's gambit decline setup, where I place my bishop on e7, then on the other side I can go c5 and then fianchetto to the other bishop with a knight over here, or just fianchetto to the bishop without playing c5 and go with the knight instead of f6, going to d7. And so I have more or less ideas over here that I'm trying. Okay, it's not the thing to worry at the moment. I just, if I was doing this without recording, I would go on and note it more. So okay, knight f6, g3, g6. Okay, this is all theory. This is all King's Indian defense theory. Okay, I reach here. I think over here, but I am, for example, in doubt if it's knight d6, bd7, or knight c6. So I can press Control Shift, Control Alt Shift L, and then I get this window, which is going to send me to my repertoires. And I have over here several possibilities. As you can see, I have the possibility to play c5 over here. I have that on my repertoire. I have also knight c6, and I have also, of course, knight bd7. Again, let me check what I have been playing before. Notice that knight b7 is at the moment the most popular. Although, as you can see, my performance is not enjoyable, and knight c6 was the one that I wanted. I had better performance, but just with 2 games, it's hard to see if this is what I want or not. Let's go to the game again. But over here, I had many options, and I decided to go with knight df7. Okay, now it took, and now here I want to check it again. So let me see. I just have here kid fianchetto, knight bd7. I just press, it opens on my repertoire. I have 2 repertoires. I have white repertoire and black repertoire. I am seeing black repertoire. I think it was a German GM. I don't remember the name. Felix Blue Bomb. Sorry, I will write it here on the video that I learned from a meme on the video he made on the internet that he uses a different system. He uses a big repertoire, which has both white and black moves, and then he uses a quick reference that he uses just with the main lines and the lines he wants to remember, because that's more useful for in-game preparation. So while he's in a tournament or and so on, so to prepare it just as few times, so he can't go with all the full repertoire to choose the moves, which is another talk. So let's go here. And so over here, the line goes with taking with a pawn, which I did, so it was good. Then the queen goes to c2. At least these are the notes, and my repertoire ends here. And I am not surprised, because I was not remembering that well, and because the repertoire is short, so I can improve over here later. Of course, I would do a comment over here, but because I am recording the video, I'm not interested in that. So I took it. He came with the queen. And now over here, I have some doubts, because I don't have this. Okay, I can wrote down my repertoire ends here. Okay, so I remember. And now I can bring master games, online master games. For that, in Chessbase, I just press enter. Of course, notice that here the format of the window just broke, but I have some memorization of setup. So I go here, video, view, load, and I have here without the engine. Is not the time for the engine. And so down here, let me go with enter and enter again. As you can see, we get some master games. Let's just move the, well, no games over here. It's impossible. Okay, let me go back a bit so it refreshes. And okay, and so as you can see over here, c6 is the continuation. So over here, the main continuation, and by far the most popular one, you can see down here, it's c6. So c6 is the main. So normally I note down, this is the main one, most popular. I probably it's not the main one. Normally I call the main one to the strongest from the engine perspective, and the most popular, the most human played. And okay, but this probably will transpose, as you can see down there, rook d1. Now queen e7, okay, but queen c7 is also possible, and also rook e8. So this more or less is going, and rook e8 also has good performance. So this more or less deserves some study that I will do to add it for my repertoire, okay? But I can do that later. But notice that over here, if I was not recording, I would go deeper and study this line and add that line to my repertoire, save it, then I will come back and keep on with the work on the game itself. So, but I think this is going more or less to transpose. As you can see down here, I am keeping the reference from the online games found. So here, queen c7 is the main move, or at least the most played one. Bishop e3, not common. As you can see over here, I was right. h3 is the most common one, but he played bishop e3. And now I went with knight g4, bishop d2. And here I was question mark about my continuation. I just have two games, two very weak games. Of course, every player has its strengths, but not reference ones. I normally, of course, as all of us does, I try to look at top games, and no top games over here. So maybe here it's a moment to see what the engine will say. So let's see the engine over here. So let's see if the engine gives us some tips. Of course, my understanding was okay. I just maneuvered the knight, so I went knight to c5. About the engine, let me say you that normally we should use the engine, but after all the analysis that we do by ourselves, there are more or less players good with using or not the engine. You are going to find grandmasters recommending not to use the engine, if we are low level. But the truth, in my view, is nowadays you need to use the engine, but of course, you also need to keep thinking, to keep understanding. And I think I like Peter I. Nielsen a lot because he has some videos where he analyzed Peter I. Nielsen. If you don't know, he was second for Anand and later for Carlsen, and is very much linked with the evolution of Carlsen, of course, and the world champion. And he has some videos where he uses the engine and tries to understand why the engine did that, and normally needs to go deep. And I like them a lot because he teaches how to read the engines in a human perspective, because they also have some logic, but we also need to go deeper to understand that logic. One thing is for sure: if the engine proposes a move and you don't understand it, don't play it in a game, because especially if it's on the opening phase or on the beginning of the middle game, because if you don't understand, it's better for you to play an inferior move according to the engine, but that you really understand the plans, you are going to be more successful with that for sure. So over here, bishop d2. I don't know, but so I am curious about the potential continuations, if I can force it more or not. Now it threatens my knight, so I went back. Bishop e3. So over here, there are a lot of moments that I will check later. Let me go just for the critical one that I want to check now, which is this one. Over here, of course, I am having some problems to deal with this. I have even considered to play g5, but I am not sure about it. I think probably if I don't know, maybe you would take and then create on my side another two weakness. There are a lot of weakness already. As you can see over here, this knight threatening on d6 forced at the moment three of my pieces being caught on the defense to that. So I don't enjoy it a lot. But of course, I can't avoid the weakness at all, because my position is inferior. So I went with bishop e7. So let's move on to another position that I want to check. Okay, so this one. Okay, this one. If it took over here, and of course I need more time to think, but the potential continuation for me, because it's grabbing my knight, maybe I need to keep my bishop. So probably here I am going to be forced to come back and let me promote this one to the main one. And okay, losing the pawn over here, I don't know. But I think this is not the best for me, but for me it was essential to keep my light square bishop. Otherwise, it's going to be just a misery if I took, as I told you before. Okay, if it took this one and I went with the bishop taking, well, it just grabs, and from here I think I am lost. I have no way to stop this one. So this is just, I'm going to place it here. This is just completely winning for white. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, now the bishop enters the diagonal, and over here it took, and for me the winning move is this one. So I'm almost sure this is a blunder, because it goes from winning to drawing, and this one is the right move. And the idea is, of course, the bishop now is going to threat my b7 pawn. So maybe I go with the knight here, so the bishop attacks. There is a potential threat of sacrifice over here, about the bishop taking the pawn. Let me say, what can I do over here? Well, not much, because I am tied to the defense. So let's say I move the bishop. The sacrifice doesn't work. Okay, so I have identified the winning plan for white. I am going to show you in a moment. But I made a mistake on my calculation, because I was also too worried about this sacrifice. Because the idea is to offer another pawn. Let me go with the wrong side, okay? And now it attacks the pawn, and as you can see, I can stop the pawn from promoting, and I would be losing. Okay, so this would be over here taking would be a blunder, and this would give the win for white. But over here, of course, I can take with the other pawn, and I miss this one in my calculation because I thought, okay, the pawn goes, and I didn't saw that I can go to d6, and so I am controlling the promotion. Even if the bishop can come to attack my knight, I have time to block the promotion of the pawn. Of course, if it exchange the bishops, it's going to be bad for white. Uh, so I more or less forget it because over here the pawn is still controlling, and I didn't notice, okay, if the pawn advanced. So I was too worried with the phantom over here. But okay, nevertheless, bishop e6. Now the knight attacks the bishop. Bishop goes. I move, and the correct maneuver is white needs to exchange this pawn for this pawn, and so needs to come. Okay, what is okay? That was not the move. Needs to come with the king, so this is going to be promoted. Let me place here something. And now I can't progress anything. As you can see over here, I'm tied to the defense, so let's move the bishop again. Now the king blocks the pawn. This is the good idea. Let me place here a good sign. Okay, I keep moving, and now it forces the exchange. And after the exchange, as you can see, I'm going to lose very fast because now it threatens to take the knight. And what can I do? Move the king. If I move the king, let's say over here, well, it just takes, and then I will lose another pawn, and this is an easy win for white. This was one of the moments I want to check because I was not so sure, but of course I have calculated this one, and I saw, okay, I am lost. He's going to go with bishop e6, and it's going to win. Okay, but he went with exchanging the bishop for the knight, and thank you. I am almost sure here that at least I don't lose. Now he took the pawn that I was expecting, and I went to block. So the idea is to block the pawn and not allowing the king to enter my space. Notice that my pawns are blocking everything from where the king can come. That's why he pushed the pawn one more time. But again, my king is controlling the other squares possible. And so there are no ways for the king to enter. And this forces the lone white bishop to sacrifice. And that would be fun for me, not for him. So we went on. I now threatening to take the pawn if he moves the bishop, but of course he spent one tempo with a f pawn. I move the bishop again, then he starts to maneuver and trying to find a solution. There are no more ways. Here, I think I can take, okay, but I don't need to, because now he's going to threat with the bishop coming to the 6. So this is more or less something I was seeing, and I calculate a bit and I push the pawn. The idea is the king can't go to directly to the pawn, so needs to maneuver around, and so the only way to grab the pawn is going there. But as you notice, then now this pawn isn't protected directly by the bishop. So this is just something that I was not afraid. And on the other side, I keep controlling any possible way for a white to enter my space, and so I have more or less a fortress that he can't penetrate, and so defense was winning again. It was a draw. Okay, so I don't think he was expecting e4. So let me remove here the graphics. Okay, bishop d4 to attack my pawn. I decided here to go on protecting it, but I also consider this one, and I was okay. If you take, then I can advance the pawn, but okay, then he can bring the king. Now I can take the other pawn, but okay. Notice that he will grab my pawn more or less with more or less trouble. He will grab my pawn. I will be here just on the defense. So I am not winning nothing with this. Even if I think, okay, in advancing the pawn, he can first control with the bishop. So it's white that it's going for a win over here. So I just this is this just gives more chances to white. So not a good move. So I went back to the 8. Then he move on, and over here I was he moved to bishop c3 and proposed the draw. I analyzed the last position, which was to play c3, but of course it's not hard to find. It just goes with the king, grabs my pawn, and we stay the same. I can grab this one, and then he goes, and I can't avoid it. If I go over here, it's not possible for me. Of course, his king is not going to enter my space. Of course, sacrificing the bishop doesn't work. It doesn't test, but of course, I'm not going to win also. So this was just the end of the game. It was a draw. Okay, and at this moment is the moment that I want to turn on the engine. So again, it's Control K. It's Control K. I have my engines over here, Stockfish and so on. I will go with the most recent Stockfish. So he starts to analyze, proposing me positions. So okay, knight f3. It's not the opening. It's not the phase that we want to spend much time, of course. So let's go with the moves from the opening over here. He took with the pawn, which, if you notice from Stockfish, he doesn't like. He prefers e4. That is more or less the main one. This is the main move. Main move. Let me note it here. Of course, here there are many moves over here, but I like to play ed4. Then the knight comes here, and here I have two options: knight c6, knight c5, and knight e5. But I prefer to go with knight e5. I don't know if I have this one on my repertoire. Let me check. Over here, I have it. Oh, in fact, I play knight e8. Yes, the rook e8 just to press the e4 pawn. Before then, is protected this one. This is my analysis from previous work, of course. Now a6. Now bishop a3, rook also moves. And so, as you can see, okay, it was 95, but it took a long. So over here, let me just note the moves better. So let me play over here new variation, and let me remove this one. I can remove it in several ways. Also, I have a check. Okay, this one. So now, okay, what I have done. Okay, I have removed everything. So let me go with that again. Okay, and over here, okay, press the pawn, then h3. Am I remembering well? Okay, a6 probably, bishop a3, rook now. Now I'm forgetting. b3 maybe. And now knight e5, more or less. I'm going to write, I'm not going to check it, but I'm just going to note it here. This is not a perfect analysis. I should take far more time, but just so you get an idea of the things I go and I work with. Okay, now here I take with the pawn. It goes knight, queen c2 that I already saw. It's played. And over here I went rook e8. Okay, it's acceptable. It's recommending already c6. But okay, I went with rook e8. Then a rook d1. Again, c6 is a good move. I am checking the engine moves suggestions. Over here on the top, we have the moves, and then we have the cloud, the ones that are registered already on Chessbase database. Okay, which is also nice. If other people before had analyzed this position, we can see here, for example, depth 13 is the most strong analysis that was done before, which is not much. Normally we get far deeper. Okay, but also useful. Sometimes spares a lot of time checking what other players have analyzed on this position. So e4, not a big deal. Here, queen c7 or queen h7. Queen h7 also an alternative. Uh, need to see this one better, okay, because this can be a bit interesting. Let me go with queen c7. Now he went bishop e3, which is not good, and the engine agrees that knight g4 is the main continuation. He bring back the, and over here I would spend more time, but as you can see, the engine is also looking to bishop h6. It's still starting, but bishop h6 is one of the potential continuations. Knight f8 also very okay, going to e6 but through knight f8. Okay, also interesting possibility. Of course, knight c5 is also an idea, but maybe knight h6 uh, stockfish also gives this option. Need to check. So I will check this one later, because normally to analyze a game, and this one is a longer one, I take a lot of time. And when I mean a lot of time, I can take 5 hours to analyze a game. But okay, only games that deserve that investment, because this is a game from a theoretical perspective that I am very interesting, because I play these setups. So the more that I understand them, it's not wasted time. Of course, if it was a blitz game or some fast game, I just look at the opening and I'm done, because of course blunders will happen everywhere, and we can't of course learn much thing by analyzing blunders over blunders. We need to play good chess, and we can also only do that with spending time in important positions. So over here the idea is h3. Okay, so threatening my knight. Now I take the bishop, then the queen or the rook takes back. What is more logical? Well, if we want to attack, but then I will have, okay, but I think the queen makes more sense, and now I need to retreat my knight, of course, to g6, and stockfish gives more or less slightly better position for white. I can open it here. White has an edge, according to stockfish, which is more or less equal. I would say, okay, it's more or less equal. And as you can see, this is a line that I use the engine to understand it better, just to make it clear that I could have went with another option. Okay, so here before, okay, I was right about it. Before is also one, but of course h3 also works. Now bishop e3, so he's playing the good moves. Knight e6 as planned, and now b4, and now stockfish proposes a5. a5. This is interesting. a5. So let me. Here it's different. I'm going to insert a diagram, and I'm going to play a5. And normally I start these ones with stockfish. So I know I didn't discover this one. This is stockfish. And so I don't like this one a lot. But okay, it's b5, so he pushes the pawn. Now I go knight d7, so controlling the other dark squares. At the moment I don't feel the idea very well, so knight rook c1. Okay, I'm not understanding this one. Bishop f8, so the control about the dark squares goes on. Now b6, okay, very uncomfortable one. But what's the idea of b6? I think I need to give more time, so I'm cutting the continuation. I'm just leaving this one. I'm not going to classify the evaluation of the position, because I want to come here later to understand this idea of counter-attacking with a5, this push of the b5. Maybe this is interesting, but I need to check. Okay, it gives b5, no doubts about it. Then knight d7, rook to c1, which is strange, because if I'm going to open things, why it's c5? Okay, I will come back later. Okay, this position was interesting. Stockfish already suggests me one move. Okay, I went bishop d7, which Stockfish doesn't enjoy it a lot. He went directly with c5, which my opponent did. I went rook a d8, which was the intending purpose of that one. Okay, a4 to press my queen side, bishop c8, and now he plays a5. Okay, this was a strange move. Now, looking at it, why a5? Only because it's threatening a6. Another good way that we can use the engines is to see the threats. Over here, I just press the X key, so I press X, and it gives the moves that if it was white to play again. And the moves are knight a4, of course, but why? Knight a4, rook a d8, knight a4, I exchange rooks. I'm looking at this variation. Something strange. I don't know. Okay. I don't think the engine is thinking at the moment at a very high depth. Maybe because I am recording it's just calculating too slow. So maybe this is faster to analyze when I am not using the recording software and so on. Okay, so let's go on. I exchange rooks. In the white is better over here, no doubts about it. Now I start to maneuver my knight. He suggests me to exchange hooks. Okay, so Stockfish suggests to fight for the open D file. Okay, this is what Stockfish suggests. If I do some typo, don't forget I'm not an English native speaker, so forgive me on some failures. You can help me correcting if I do something wrong. Okay, over here it suggests us to took. Now take with the knight. And okay, I would say white is slightly better. No worries about it, but I went with knight d7. Knight a4. This is a strange move. I don't understand that very well. Okay. I was more expecting a6. I don't understand this move. I will have to spend far more time with this white plan to really go deeper, maybe. Now, okay, I bring the knight to b8 to defend. Now he went with the rook d6, but rook d6 makes no sense also. And the engine agrees with me. This makes no sense. This looks like just a waste of one tempo. And it is, but because this is a very positional game, it's not that important. When we are playing positional, tempi doesn't matter so much as in a tactical or more dynamic game. So rook came back. I went with f6. Okay, f6. Stockfish also agrees. Knight b2. Now I went with this maneuver. He brings the knight to attack my weak point on d6. This is also very bad. And I find the only good move to continue. Nevertheless, I am in disadvantage, of course. Knight h2. Why knight h2? Well, I prefer the one he played, developing the bishop. So now I went with bishop e6, all good over here. So the position is more or less balanced, slightly better for white, but more or less balanced. Now knight a6 attacking the pawn, so the move was expected. Queen c3. Now h6, also Stockfish agrees. So I am very proud of my positional understanding of the threats of the opponent. Not that I was happy on playing on defensive side, but nevertheless I can't complain that much. I am not lost at the moment. Okay, this was not the best one. It suggests going knight h4, immediately attacking my... Okay, this is very interesting. Let me see this one against Stockfish. As you understand, I'm not paying too much attention for the moves, but I try to just show you how I am intending to play. Also, here the idea is to protect the pawn without creating any holes, because removing the knight from f3 also, uh, uh, g5 is not a threat that hard to face at the moment. But okay, he has another idea, which is very good. In fact, now I understand the plan. So he's threatening to go with f4 next. You can check the threat over here. F4, as you can see, I pressed X key, and as you can see, Stockfish is immediately showing, so intending f4 next, which is very good. And so this plan is causing trouble for me. So, but he did made this very. I will classify it as a dumb move, not the best one, an imprecision more or less. I won't say this is a mistake. So I went to exchange rooks, which Stockfish also agrees. It develops the bishop to a more centralized position, also supporting the king side pawns. Now I exchanged the rooks. It took, and then I went with my queen. Okay, Stockfish also agrees. And now he proposed to exchange, and I accept. And so over here, I'm happy because the game is more or less balanced. I was thinking that I was really worse than what Stockfish is saying, because I was afraid of the King Pound Storm, but okay, it looks like I managed to play well, not bad. Of course, my opponent also helped me with. Okay, over here, knight b5. Knight b5 is one of the options. h4. Now it proposed g5. So I was more or less seeing this one, and I didn't play it. Okay, it happens to both. Two king is not a problem. So this just gives equality. So I was right about it. But of course, you could play 91 is better. So let me just promote this one. Okay, 91. Okay, over here. I don't know, maybe king g7. What is proposing h5? h5, okay, this just locks the position. I'm not afraid about it. I would say this also gives equality. So I went bishop e7, which was not the best. So I will also mark this one as okay, and g5 maybe the best. I don't know. It's not. No, it's not a mistake. Okay, let's go on. Bishop e7, knight e3. He proposed g5 again. A6 is also on the menu, so I accept the all on the other side. Now h5, and now I made a mistake. Now this is a mistake. Now this is the first moment where I made a mistake. And so g5, this is just Stockfish, of course, because otherwise I would have played it. Stockfish, I am just going to note it as an equality because I don't want to be here all day long for recording the video. So let's go with this one. This is just better for clearly better for white. Now knight g5, and I don't know what else could I have done here. It suggests bishop d7, so wasting one tempo. So I believe Stockfish. Yes, it's already increasing the advantage. Notice that Stockfish is too slow, so not the best to show you. It's the depth is still early. Normally, when I am analyzing, it goes far faster, but now it's as you can see over here on this side on this box, it's 1300 kappa nodes per second, and of course this is too slow. But the PC I am using, it's recording the video, and so this slows everything down. The CPU is not working. Okay, knight g5. Now he should take, of course, he should take here, and now I am forced to take with this pawn, otherwise I get a very weak pawn on e5, and so I also don't like this one. He proposed to exchange bishop, so this is a lost position. because I have many weaknesses and white is on the move. So I would say, okay, I can see that later. So knight a4 also possible. So I went knight d4. Now he forces the exchange of pieces, and the engine is proposing knight g4. Okay, that was interesting also. Knight g4. But why? Knight g4. Also f3. F3, I don't think it's that important. Maybe to release the bishop. But okay, let's me just say that I will need to come back here later. So, okay, knight here, knight here. Let me go directly to, okay, now I am improving the position. Bishop taking is the only good move. I was nice with that. So here, the other option is not that good after all. So this is not the best, because I would, okay, taking the bishop back would be a big blunder, because it just takes the pawn, and this is winning 4. So I was considering this one, but if I had played, I would have made the wrong decision over here. I need to go with the f pawn. Yes, f pawn. And now it takes my bishop. And now, how can I defend this one? e4? Well, this is not understandable for me. Okay, let me see. How can I defend this one? Bishop. Okay. I am seeing it now. So the idea is I am going to lose my pawns, but I also will go after the other pawn. So it will have to maneuver a lot over here, because he accepted my Greek offer. And so, okay, this was interesting. Well, I completely missed this one. I was going with the wrong idea. I was going to lose this one with the wrong idea. So, okay. It took, maybe he had calculated it well, better than me. So he took with the best move over here. I made a mistake again. Okay, let me check why. Bishop c4 now. Bishop c4, it's the good move. He played that. I went with knight, and then bishop e6. I was right about it. And then knight g5. Why? I don't need to play anymore. I have confirmed that this one was winning for him. Yes, it was winning. So, okay, it's winning. And oh, go, 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 and go. No doubts about it. I was going to win over here. He blundered the win, and so I was able to go on. Let me see if I am not missing any move over here. So over here, everything is 0.00, as we like when we are playing just for a draw. Well, nevertheless, it was a good game. I did enjoy it a lot. It was really hard, but I'm happy that I was able to draw with a bit of luck. But of course, we also need that, and I have the miscalculation in a critical moment. I need to come back that. Oh, over here it's very interesting. e4 is the only move to draw, because I was also considering that this one. No, I am not being fair to myself over here. I did calculate this one, and that's why I thought this. Yes, I was with the wrong speech over here, because yes, I played e4 because I saw the other one was losing. So e4 is a very good move. I can't be that hard with me. Okay, bishop a8. So here it's a draw. And so we are ending this one. I hope you have enjoyed. This is just the method. So I start by checking the critical moments. Then I go on with the game and I analyze the opening. I check with my repertoire. I improve my repertoire if there are scope for that, which is the case on this one. I can go ahead and decide if I want to use this setup again against knight f3. Maybe I will, maybe I'm not. I can choose the way to face the fianchetto variation of the kid. So there are a lot of things we can go on to go deeper with the game analysis during the opening. Then the middle game ideas and plans, which are also connected with the opening, which shows gave me an uncomfortable position to play because it was more defensive. I always had the d6 square as a weakness during all the game. I tied my pieces there to the defense, which was not comfortable. I did not create any chances, at least as far as I know, from the game to have a chance to win. So, which is a bit on the sad side. We always like to play for a win. So maybe I will consider to try different setups with one d4, d5 as black against one knight f3 next time. Maybe I will do that. Maybe I will do another move. We don't know. We also can't reveal everything. Then, after all this analysis, I could have went deep. This is a live recording, so it's already taking more than 1 hour, which is a way to do it. I could speed it up, but I think it's more pedagogical for you to understand and to see the paths that I go through over the analysis. And then in the end, I turn on the engine. I try to use it to help me to understand the doubts that I had. And okay, that's it. I don't bother you more. I hope you also have extracted some useful things for you. You can please comment everything that you want about the game or about the analysis. Maybe you have better methods than mine. Maybe you can suggest to me more things to do about this one. Uh, as always, I hope you have enjoyed and check with you in future ones. Bye bye and keep checking.